Hi, I'm Phil Durst with the Vice President for NACA, your association. Now, committees have often referred to as the lifeblood of the association or the backbone of the association. Truly, it's the place where the work gets done by the association. We have 17 committees. Those committees are divided into 3 different councils or groups, each one with a council chair that coordinates those committees. So we have the Professional Improvement Council, we have the Extension Development Council, and we have Program Recognition Council. Each of those groups of committees, each of those councils of committees has specific responsibilities, and we want people to be involved in those things. Now, your states may have counterparts to these committees in your own states, and I want to encourage you as the leaders of your state association to look for those who are doing a great job in those committees and tap them and say, we want to get you involved in a national committee as a regional vice chair of a national committee, because that's where we get those good members from, is from you, the state leaders. So we want quality, we want people who are committed, and that's who we want you to refer for regional vice chair positions. The committee openings that we have in 2021, and each year there are committee openings, and so I want to share with you the list of committee openings by region for 2021. So I believe we're sharing the committee openings, NACA 2021, and I have them by region and then by council within that. So you can see that in the Northeast region, there are 3 committees in the Professional Improvement Council that have a regional vice chair position opening. In the Program Recognition Council, there's 2 for Northeast region, and there's 1 in the Extension Development Council. And then as we go down through the list, the Southern region has openings in each of those councils, again, similar numbers, and the North Central region, and then finally the Western region. So wherever you're at, whatever region you're in, there are opportunities for people to become involved as a regional vice chair in these committees. We're looking for people who are committed, but they don't have to be experienced per se in an individual committee. Let's say, for example, you've had somebody who does a great job in a program recognition committee on the state level, and they're an agronomy agent. Maybe they would apply as an agronomy and pest management regional vice chair. You know that they're committed, you know they do a great job, and so it's easy to believe that they would do a great job in that committee, even if it's not the committee they're involved in on the state level per se, or that they chair on the state level. We want to identify people who will get involved. And then I want to show you how it is, and we'll send this list out to you, but I want to show you also how a person can apply to be a committee chair or regional vice chair. And that's on the NCAA website. So I'm going to the website now. Let's see. I'm going to change my sharing. New share. And website. Okay. So I have gone to the leadership page on the NACA website. And under leadership, I clicked on committees. And then it brought up my page. And so it has my information on this page, and my contact information is there. My past positions are there, but it says start a new application for 2021-23 and select a position. When I click on this, it brings up all those positions that I just showed you on a different sheet. And when I do that, I can see that there's a council chair position, there's committee chair positions, and there's committee vice chair positions. The committee vice chair positions are by region. In some of the councils, committee chairs are selected from among the regional vice chairs. In others, are selected apart from the regional vice chairs. But if somebody's starting out, I would look at the regional vice chair positions and find the one that's going to suit your region. Okay, so here's a Northeast Early Career Development position, or if you're in Northeast, a Teaching and Technology Committee position. Find those, and then it's a matter of clicking on them and then filling out the information in the form that's on the website. So add any additional positions in NACA or state associations, list significant program accomplishments and summarize daily responsibilities, And then here's the most important part. Explain why you're interested and should be considered for this national chair or regional vice chair role. That's important because as we evaluate multiple nominations for a committee, regional vice chair committee, we want to know why somebody wants to do that. If it's just to pad a resume, boy, I tell you, that doesn't impress me. But if it's to give back to the association, if it's to serve your fellow agents, if it's to be able to make things run smoothly and responsively, we want to have those kind of people in these roles. And then the last thing is just, what AMPICs has the person attended in the past, and hit the button for apply. That's how easy it is to apply for these national committee positions. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and encourage you to check out the website, to look for the committee openings, and to identify people in your state that would be good for those positions. We're really talking about involvement here. And my goal as vice president is to see every single member of our association get involved in some way in NACAA. And you think, well, how can everybody get involved? And I grant you, everybody can't be a regional vice chair. That can't be. But everybody can do something. And so I made a list of ways that people can get involved in NACAA. And that is submit an entry in some program recognition program. And that's coming up here on March 15th. Entries are due, all those award things, and people can submit entries. People can also submit a abstract for a presentation or a poster at the AMPIC. Those are possibilities. Register for the new NACA 365 webinars, and I'll talk about that series in a minute. Those are professional improvement webinars that we've started, or that we're starting coming up soon, and we encourage people to join those. Serve on a committee, attend an AMPIC, donate to the scholarship fund, and submit a scholarship application. If you've never submitted a scholarship application, it's a great way to fund professional improvement opportunities for an individual or for a group of individuals in your state. Write an article for the County Agent Magazine, or submit a manuscript to the Journal of NACAA. Those are just some of the ways that members of your state can get involved in the National Association. When people are involved, they're more engaged. When people are engaged, it's a stronger organization. Now, I mentioned the webinar series. And we're really pleased to start that series. It begins the second Wednesday of January, which is January 13th. And it begins with a kickoff with Michelle Payne. Michelle Payne was a keynote speaker during the AMPIC that we had this past September. She's an advocate for agriculture, and she's wrote a book about food bullying. She's going to talk about how we can be better advocates for agriculture and how we can respond to those who are opposed to agriculture in some way. That's January 13th at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And every one of the webinars in the NACA 365 series will be either on the second or fourth Wednesday of the month at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have a full slate right now of 14 webinars from January through August, except for July when we have our national meeting scheduled. And then we are looking to fill in spots after that. So every month, NACA is coming to you with educational webinars that we believe are helpful to you. I encourage you to register for those, and you'll find those on the NACA website. And then lastly, what I want to talk about is the fact that as an association, we need to reduce and eliminate barriers to the involvement of any individual and anybody who is not a member from being a member. And so we have started a process here to form a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. It's an advisory group to the Leadership and Administrative Skills Committee. That advisory group, we asked for nominations from states. We were overwhelmed to have 26 applications, 26 nominations for that advisory group. We selected 12 people, 3 from each region, 3 who will represent the region, excuse me, and help us identify barriers that people have to be involved, identify barriers to membership, and find ways to reduce and eliminate those so that we have every member involved in our association. When we do that, when we have every state involved, every territory involved, and every member involved, we will be a better association, excuse me, better serving all of our members for the betterment of our clientele that we work with in the state. So thanks for your time today. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me personally, either by email or by cell phone. And that information should be on the website. Thanks. And thanks so much for letting me be a part of this, Jerry.
Okay. Then next on our agenda is talking about the duties of state officers. Again, those of you who are new to this and are joining this workshop to figure out what the heck you got yourselves into, we're going to try to provide some guidance there for you, including the responsibilities of the state officers and how to keep the national committee up to date with what the state committees are doing, because that connection is very, very important, so that everybody knows what everybody else is doing and can keep updated. So to give us an overview of the duties of state officers, we have JJ Jones, who is one of the directors of the Southern region. JJ.
Yeah, thanks. So appreciate everybody joining us today. So first of all, congratulations to each of y'all. If you are the state president or state secretary, that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today, is what your duties are, in addition to the duties that you have for your own state. What I'm going to talk about today is just kind of the duties related to your position and to the National Association. And some of these things that we're going to talk about today are really important from a standpoint that, you know, if you miss some of these things or don't do some of these things, it could affect some of your membership. So first thing, I'm going to try to share my screen here. And let's see here. So first thing I'll pull this off is I hope you see this here. This is the website, and on the website is a state officer's handbook. And we strongly suggest that everyone, you know, all the state officers read this handbook, and it's on the website, and you just go to leadership and you click on state officer's handbook, and it'll show up. And then the first thing, the contents it talks about, is the duties of state officers and associations. And so, and I'm not going to go over every one of these, the duties listed here. Some of these are pretty straightforward and pretty easy. I'm going to go over, I kind of highlight what I think are the most important ones that I think each president, and sometimes what I've found when I talk to presidents, and even, you know, presidents here in Oklahoma, when we've elected them, they don't realize that these are some of the jobs that need to be done, or their duties that need to be done. So with that, I will stop sharing that. Of course, being the good economist that I am, I have a PowerPoint. So, and because I don't make notes very well, so we'll hopefully, well, there we go. Hopefully you're seeing this. And for some reason or other, the menu bar is right in the way. There we go. Move it up. All right. So let's talk about the duties just a little bit here. There we go. So again, state officer handbook, all the duties are listed. Like I said, it's currently under I put currently under the leadership tab. One thing that hasn't been mentioned yet is that we are in the process. When I say we, I'm just on the board. I'm not doing any of this, but we're in the process of updating and changing our current website format to make it more user-friendly, more usable. To be quite honest, the code that was our old one was written in is so antiquated that you can't hardly find anybody to do that kind of work anymore. So the website will look different, but for right now, it's there. It's under that leadership tab, as I showed you all ago. And so when we talk about the duties of the president and secretary, the very first one, and this is important, is it's your job as a state association to regularly update the member database. And so, you know, when you have a change in your state officers, whenever that change takes effect, it's up to you to go in there and make those changes on the database. And actually that when it does that, it changes it on our website as well. This is really important from the standpoint that when someone from the board or somebody from one of the committees is wanting to get a hold of an individual in the state, and let's say we're trying to get a hold of the state president, and we're emailing the person that was state president 4 presidents ago, and may not even be still working for that extension service, the communication breaks down. And so that communication is very key and very vital to the way our organization works. And so we need those databases up, as current as possible. And then also make changes to membership. I know there's been several times as a scholarship chair, when I was looking through the database, and if that member wasn't listed, if let's say there was a group application and that member was not listed in the database as a member, then the whole application got thrown out and disqualified. And so it's very important that additions and changes be made to that membership list as they become available. And then this one, I think, is even more important because we talk about you need to update your state committees on the website. The website, the way it works now is you put in the state committee chair, and you put in a term. And once that term expires, then the website automatically defaults back to the state president. The reason why that is important, for example, let's say one of your members wants to put in for an award. The way it works is that that person puts in the award, it then goes to the state chair for approval to be forwarded on to the regional vice chair. If that state chair is not listed and it's defaulted to the state president, it cannot move forward. And therefore that entry or that application will not get forwarded on to the regional vice chair, and therefore your members may not be able to take advantage of that program or that award program. And so it's very important. I know, as being a committee member on several different committees, we run into this multiple times where we had to call the state associations to get them to update the list, and we're working on a deadline. And so here it is, it's the 15th of March, and we're needing this passed on. And we're making calls trying to get this updated so the member can take advantage of this awards program. So it's very important that you do this on a timely manner. The other thing is we ask that, the state officers attend the state officers workshop at JSEP, which you're attending it now. In the book, it says JSEP. So when we hold JSEP, we'd like for you to attend the state officers workshop. And I don't know if you knew this, but, the NACA, we provide a little financial help. I'm not right off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what that is. $400 comes to mind, but that may not be right. But we do provide some financial help to attend the JSEP meeting. And so we hope that you would come to the JSEP meeting and then attend that state officers workshop. Phil's already mentioned a little bit about the committee structures and how important it is, and that we're always looking for those members to fill these committee spots. And it's, again, a role of the president or secretary to kind of help us identify that leadership from your state membership. There's a lot of times you have really good members that could do the committee role, and maybe they just not aware of the national role they could be playing, or maybe you just need a little nudge sometimes. I've had to nudge a few people within my own state association to join committees and stuff because they just maybe not feel like it was right for them. And that one nudge, and every one of them to a person has thanked me for being do that because they've enjoyed that experience. So I want, help us identify those from state membership. And if you can, if you need somebody else to give the nudge, give us a call. Well, I'm always happy to nudge people to do the committee work. It's some of the most rewarding and fulfilling work that we can do. I went to count up, Phil, the number of committee spots, and I just lost count. I wasn't for sure who has 4 and who has 5, but I count up, I got to about 80. So there's over 80 different positions available to our memberships. Now, and Phil's already mentioned that the application is due on February the 15th. And so that's coming up here pretty quick. And he showed you the listings. So the other thing that we, asked the president to do, we asked them to attend the AM and PIC. And, as a reward for attending, I don't know if most of y'all knew this, but as a state president, you get to present the state flag during the opening ceremony. It is quite an interesting opportunity. Being from Oklahoma, and they wanted to call me the Sooner State the one time. We had a little discussion in Kansas about that because I am not a Sooner. That's at Louisville Art School down the road. And so, but it was real interesting and real fun to carry the state flag out across the stage and present it to the membership. Uh, Also, consider as the role of the president, it's important that y'all invite us regional directors to your annual state meetings. We need to know the dates. Our role as regional directors, when we show up, we get to give an update from NACAA. That's one role. The other role is we're there to get anything that you want to bring back to the board. You can then, bring forward, your membership can bring forward to us then, even publicly or just in one-to-one meetings. If you got some questions you want the board to address, you come up to us and bring it to our attention, and we'll bring it in front of the board. But we need to know about those regional meetings, and so that we can attend. And it doesn't matter if you're doing them one day, 3 days, however. That's one of the great joys of this being the director job, is getting to attend those state meetings. I've enjoyed each one and look forward to get to do more here in the next year. I hope get to do more. So, again, if your state association has got some information that you'd like the national board to consider, you need to let us know and just relay that to us, our regional director, so we can relay that on to the board. And then the big thing, consider, whoever takes care of your secretary or your treasurer or someone, the thing you really must realize is the national dues are due January 1. After January 1, that's when they're due, and they're delinquent as of February 15th. So I put those dates down there because there has been times that said the dues didn't get there by the February 15th date. And when, if they're not ratified or made known, if the dues are late and your members want to apply for an award and their dues didn't get there by 15th, there is a possibility they may not be able to take advantage of that award program because their dues didn't get there in time. So it's very important as a state association that you get your dues to us by that February 15th date. We'd prefer them earlier than that, but that's the drop dead date. So, and with that, David, I am done unless there's any questions.
Okay, again, if you have questions or think of them as we move along here, please feel free to keep dropping them into the chat box there, and Jerry and I will try to keep an eye on it, and we'll address them as we come to the question and answer session. And just a reminder, as far as the officers go, if you're looking at openings and things, and committee memberships and so forth, that deadline is February 15th. So get onto the website, take a look at those openings, and there'll be some more coming out from what Phil sent us to the membership. So, with that, we're going to move on to the operations of the NACAA, specifically some of the everyday workings of how the association works with its policies and bylaws, membership committees, and so forth. And then the purpose of why the directors are going to state visits. And so to update us on the operations of the association is going to be Jerry Clark, who is the director of the North Central region, and is also coordinating this meeting for us. Thank you, Jerry.
Trying to thank you, David. Yeah, I'm just going to share the website quick here. Hopefully that's coming through. And yeah, with the operations, policies and bylaws is something that, that is the structure we work under, and with all the rules, policies, things. And so under the members only section, after you log in, you'll see that policy and bylaws section, and that's where you're going to find all of that. It's quite an extensive document, but most of that, all of the answers you're looking for or have questions of, are going to be in that policy and bylaw section. So you can download that. It's, again, a big file, so it does take some time, but that file does contain all of that information you're looking for. What I found as North Central Director is paging through that is then to lean on others that have been in the association in leadership roles to help find it. Sometimes it's the details there. It's just a matter of looking in the right place at the right time to find those things. And so that policy is available. And again, it is quite extensive, but you can, it is well organized. It's just a matter of trying to find it in the right places. And so there is a nice table of contents. It's hyperlinked. You can go through and find those types of things regarding the membership and the dues. That information is there. Like JJ said, the membership as of, oops, excuse me, I'm on the wrong page. The membership as of February 15th is what is going to be used for the membership for that year. So that's why it is important for that February 15th date to get those dues in. Currently it's $50. States do charge more for dues for their own status to add on to that association, but it is $50 from a national dues perspective. And again, you can find that in section 3.5 and then also in section 2.4. We'll have information about the voting delegates. So once those dues are in, that's what sets the delegate information. And that delegate information is, again, one delegate for every 40 members, and then another delegate for every 30 in addition to that. And so you can you get up to 71 members. That's where you can start to trigger that third delegate. So that's kind of how the policies lay out. Again, it's an extensive document, but that's where you find it. Again, is under that members only and the policies and bylaws, and you can thumb through that. With the purpose of the state visits, as those of us as directors, our number one goal is to get input from the membership. I think as we do the state visits, whether they were in person or mainly virtual lately, that is to get input from the membership. So again, as state officers in your association, encourage that connection to you as if you're president or an officer or a board member, for that dialogue between the associations to us as directors. And so we're always listening. And when we do those state visits, that's especially a time when you can have a more extensive dialogue with the membership. Provide that national board update. Like JJ said, that's kind of one of our goals is to connect with the associations and relay any information that's happening. We have put together a newsletter. Hopefully you're getting that, or it's available on the website. Trying to do that maybe every quarter, 3 times a year, something like that. We'll see how often we can get that out as needed, but to provide some of the detail, that's part of, not to replace the state visit, but to enhance that communication. And then again, like Phil and JJ said, with involvement and leadership, lots of positions available for that. I think one of the things we do as directors is take note of those state leaders, state association leaders that have awesome potential to be a national leader. And so we're also looking at that as far as state association leadership and encouraging that next step to that regional and national level. And with that, David, I think I'll quit with that and stop sharing my screen and turn it back over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. Again, as questions arise, just feel free to throw them in the chat room, and we'll deal with them when we come to the end of the agenda. And with that, the next thing on the agenda is a little bit about the NACA scholarship program, and I'm going to tackle that. If I can bring up my screen here. Okay, how do we do? Is that working?
Yep, coming through,
okay.
David.
So all I'm doing here is showing you the page from the website, the criteria for awarding scholarships. And I recommend, if you're thinking about a scholarship for either you or a group of you from your state, that you go ahead and take a look at this. Also, feel free to contact your regional vice chair for that area. They are the ones who can tell you, kind of guide you through the process and tell you in terms of your application, what level of detail you need, what historically the committee has looked favorably upon, and so forth. But all of the active members are eligible for scholarships as long as they are vested in the scholarship program. And what that means is that as an active member, you need to donate at least $40 to the scholarship fund. And that for the upcoming year, that donation needs to be made by the end of the AMPEC of that year. You need to use that scholarship within 12 months of the application being successful. That $40 qualifies you for a scholarship of up to $1,000. It doesn't have to be $1,000. It can be less than that. And if you put in an additional $60 contribution, in other words, $100 total, then you are eligible for up to $2,000 for a scholarship. Just so you know, overall, the scholarship limits are $1,000 per year or per project, if you will, and then a total of $2,000 for your extension career. You can donate more if you believe in the cause of the scholarship program. It's easy to do. Right on the front page of the website, when you first get there, there's a little corner where it says donate to the scholarship program, and that will guide you through the process. Also, if you attend the MPEC, there's opportunities there, especially with the auction. And when have the virtual situation where we're still kind of working our way around how we're going to deal with that. The money for this is not handled directly by the NACAA. There is a separate group, a scholarship fund, and that educational foundation is the one who actually makes the decisions in terms of what applications are going to be funded that year, but they base their acceptance on the recommendations of the scholarship committee. So the applications go to the scholarship committee. The committee reviews those usually during the first day of the MPEC, and then gives their recommendations to the foundations, and the foundation in turn decides to fund them. If you've been attending MPECs recently, you know that the foundation has had a drive to try to get $1 million fund going so that they can work off of the interest of that and basically keep the fund self-sustaining. They have achieved that goal and are looking for the next goal, so to speak, so that they can build that up to the point where hopefully they'll either be able to provide more scholarships every year, or perhaps they're also playing with the idea of maybe raising the amount that the members are eligible for. So keep your eyes and ears open for news coming from the foundation in the next couple of years, and hopefully good news, because it looks as though they've been very successful in their efforts to keep this program well funded. What kind of things are they interested in funding? Generally, it's a scholarship. So we're looking to try to advance your education. The scholarship committee, I was a regional vice chair on the scholarship committee for 2 terms. Things that are especially favorable for is if you're going on for education to get a graduate degree or an additional graduate degree, or efforts in that regard, those tend to be very high priority for the committee. But also if it's just, for example, maybe the responsibilities of your job have shifted a little bit, you feel you need some training in one of your new areas of responsibility and want to go and work with someone on that, or do a tour, or sit in on a different type of training. Those are the types of things that they would be willing to try to help pay the tuition or even some of the travel costs for that. The application itself is fairly simple. Again, you can download that from the website. It's just basically asking what the purpose of it is, and you do have to supply a budget. Once your application is received, as I said, it goes before the scholarship committee, hopefully is approved, and then goes before the foundation. You have 12 months after the award to spend it. One of the commitments you make by accepting that award is that you will provide your expenses in the manner that's set forth in the guidelines, and also a brief report, 750 to 1,500 words. So 1 or 2 pages is all we're asking of how your experience helped you in your future training. So not a big commitment, a relatively big return on a small investment if you're looking for, especially if your career is still in the early stages or mid stages, a really good way of getting that. Plus, just having that award also helps you in building up your package for promotion and tenure. So please consider not only donating to the scholarship fund to help your fellow extension members get their training, but also consider going ahead and applying for a scholarship. Bear in mind, there are also group scholarships available. If there's a group of you within the state who would like to go on a tour, for example, a dairy tour, an agronomy tour, or a horticulture tour, you want to rent a van and go a couple over the state line and take a look at what's going on in another state, that's another thing that the scholarship fund has been used for with great success. Just bear in mind that everybody who is part of that group must be vested. If you submit an application and that is checked out by the committee, and we find out that it's people who are on that applying for it are not vested, the whole application gets tanked. So just make sure that everybody's vested before you set that application in. And if you have a question about that, again, just contact your regional vice chair. They can tell you who's paid up and who may need to get a donation in there. So again, please consider that. Check with your regional vice chairs, or you can check in with the overall chair, who's Donna Billick, and her information is right up on the website under that committee. So this is a great opportunity. It's one of the opportunities you get as a member of NACAA, and please take advantage of it. So with that, I will stop sharing, I think.
David, I will mention that they can go online and check the database to see if they're vested online. They don't have to call the regional director. They can pull up the database and they'll see if they're vested. At least they used to. Good.
Let's see here.
Are you trying to stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, I am. It's gone away on me,
I think
Jerry.
I could do it for you. There you go.
There it goes. Thank you. Okay. Let's get back to where I was here. And again, if, any questions you may have that you want to have addressed today, please feel free to drop them in the chat room. And with that, we'll move on to the next section on our agenda, which is the executive director, what are his duties, and then again, some other opportunities. And Kurt Jones, who is the director of the Western region, will talk a little bit about our executive director and what the duties are and what you can rely on them for and what you should be addressing your concerns with. So with that, Kurt.
Okay, thank you, David. And as many of my predecessors here have said this morning, if you have a question about how the operations of NACAA work, you go to the policy manual, and you can actually go to the policy manual here and find the contract that our executive director is currently operating under. You know, we're very fortunate to have Scott Hobaker as our executive director here at NACAA. I've known Scott for many years now as for having been active with our association, but his contract is actually in section 4 of the policy handbook, pages 21 through 23, I believe. You know, he has a number of different responsibilities that kind of fall into the different areas of, there's some things that he does to maintain a central office for our association, which is important for sponsor relations and that type of thing. You know, being able to house a number of our historical documents and those types of activities. He also serves as the editor of the County Agent magazine. So he's the one that when I was in some of my leadership roles in the committees, he was the one that was sending me the reminder emails to make sure that I'm getting my stuff in on time and those types of things. But one of the other very important things that he does is handles the registration for our national meeting. He's the one that helps to get your lodging figured out when you register for the AMPIC, helps with any special meal requests, which I certainly appreciate with some of my food allergies that I have, and he just knows those types of details that he does there. So the next part that I'm supposed to be talking about is, who do you contact as a state officer? Is it the executive director? Is it your regional director? Is it the president of the association? And I would say if you're traveling to Pennsylvania and you want a fishing partner, you probably do want to contact Jay Craig and see if he's listening here. But otherwise, you know, part of what Jerry was just talking about is that a big component of my role as the regional director is that I'm supposed to be the liaison between the states and the national board. And so that communication goes both ways. So when I've been doing state visits, I try to bring forward different things that the national board is considering and working on. I know there's been a lot of excitement about the new NACAA website and database that Connie's going to be talking about here in just a couple of minutes. But I also bring forward concerns or suggestions that the state has to the national board. So I like to think that if you're ever in doubt about who to contact, if you start with your regional director, we can do a good job of directing you into the right direction to go. And it may be the executive director, it may be the president, it may be a committee chair that is the correct person to be interfacing with. If you have a potential sponsor for NACAA, that would be a good time to contact the executive director and see if there's been any work done from that. The last thing I need to talk about today is that as members of NACAA, we are already members then of the Joint Council of Extension Professionals. And there are a couple of conferences coming up that I wanted to make you aware of. So let me share my screen real quick here. And I have brought up the JCEP homepage, the Joint Council of Extension Professionals. And one of the programs that's coming up here next month, February 10th through the 12th, is the Extension Leadership Conference. This is the state this is the state leaders that JJ was talking about, where we have some financial assistance to help send you to that program. It is going to be a virtual conference because of the ongoing pandemic and budgetary issues that many of our universities are facing right now. And so very easy for us to participate, just saving those carving out those dates on your calendar. The other big one that's coming up here later in April is the PILD conference, and I'm finding, oh, here it is, the Public Issues Leadership Development Conference that's coming up April 11th through the 14th. That is going to be in Arlington, Virginia, and my understanding is, at least at this time, that they are planning on that being a hybrid conference. So there'll be some folks that are attending in person and other folks that will be attending virtually. And this is an opportunity for developing your skills in public issues leadership and being able to discuss those types of things with your local and state legislators and national leadership as well. So I believe those are the areas that I needed to cover here. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to throw them into the chat and we can help answer those in just a second. So thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Kurt. Okay, moving right down the agenda. Our next section is on recognitions and awards. This is a really important part of being a member of NACAA is taking advantage of the opportunity to submit your work for recognition and for awards. Again, not only just to let other people know what you're doing, but to get it recognized. And again, for those of you who are in your early career or midpoint of your career, this is also a way of helping to show that there's national recognition for your program and building up that package. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stuart Gauthier, who's another one of the regional directors for the Southern region, to talk about the recognitions and awards programs.
Thank you, David. I thought I would try to make it kind of personal in terms of the awards and maybe touch on some of the awards that I've been lucky enough in my career to take part in the process. And when you look at NCAA, everybody has kind of said the same thing today. If you have any questions, go to the website. And it's definitely true with the awards process. Obviously, you're not going to remember everything we're covering today, but you can go to the website at any time of day or night and look at the deadlines, look at the awards. It's all spelled out there pretty clearly. And probably with the new website, it'll even be easier to navigate through. But currently, it's a pretty streamlined process. And through the years of doing this program, each year, a lot of the kinks have gotten worked out of the awards process. So a lot of it is done online and is pretty self-explanatory. I like to think of things kind of like in a chronological process, otherwise I get pretty confused. So when I think of the awards for the County Agents Association, I think I always start out thinking of the AAA award, the Achievement Award. And that's the award that you're going to win, hopefully, when you have 10 years or less of service. And the way that it's handled differently in some states. Here in Louisiana, we start making nominations usually in December. Our chairman will send out a list of the people who are nominated for an achievement award, and it's going to be based upon our state membership. So February, our membership of February of the previous year, we're going to be told how many AA members, award recipients that we can nominate. And for Louisiana, like for this year, we can have one based upon our state membership. And then we'll vote as a state. Our deadline this year as a state is around January 7th. And then we will put our award winner into the website prior to January 15th deadline. That's kind of how we work that process. Now, once we've had over 10 years of service, then we're eligible for the Distinguished Service Award. And that DSA award, we kind of follow the same process. We're told how many members we can nominate based on our state membership. It's kind of the same process as the Achievement Award. And we kind of follow that same process. We vote as a state, and then we pass those winners on. Now, one of the caveats with both of these awards is that you have to attend the national meeting. And that's sometimes, in some cases, been something I know as a state here in Louisiana, we've made sure that whoever we're nominating, and that before we even nominate them, we make sure that they're willing to attend the national meeting. Because if they're not, then they're not going to be able to receive that award. So that's a key thing with both the AA and DSA. They have to be willing to go to that national meeting. I think it's, for myself, and instead I was going to try to make it a little personal, I think winning like the DSA award, I remember going to the Portland, Oregon meeting and winning that award. And it really kind of energizes your career, getting up there, receiving the award in front of all your peers in a large ballroom, really made me feel good about what I had accomplished in my career as an extension agent. And I think that it's something that, I guess I see, both the AA and DSA award as ways of, getting membership, rewarding their accomplishments, and getting them really hooked into being more productive County Agents Association members. So I really want to encourage you to participate in those two award contests. Now, when we kind of move on from that, kind of even more exclusive. And last year, I was fortunate. I was able to nominate someone for the NACA Hall of Fame Award from the Southern region, and they ended up winning. Last year, when I nominated Alan Hogan, who had been a county agent for close to 50 years, he really fit the bill on what we were trying to nominate in terms of a person getting a Hall of Fame award. Someone who's real been involved. He had attended county agents meetings all over the country for over the last 20, 30 years. He's religiously been a member of our state association, and we went online and nominated him for that award. We submitted that, and he was lucky enough to win it. And that award generally gives a cash award of $1,000, and they also tend to they're required to go to the national meeting, and in his case, it ended up being a virtual meeting. It turned out a little differently, but it's something that I know every state in visiting state meetings has some senior members who've been involved for a long period of time. They've been the backbone of their state association and been really involved on a national level. This Hall of Fame award is a great way to recognize those members. And lastly, we also have an American World Agricultural Nomination Form to nominate people who have been of service, kind of even on a global level, on a national level. And that award is given to usually the region that is hosting the national meetings. So for example, like this year, if it's the Northeast region, they would be able to nominate one person to get that service to American World Agriculture. And that nomination is due by March 15th. It's emailed to Bill, last year was to Bill Burdine. And that award process involves attaching some credentials where you write out about 1,000 words or less why the person should be nominated. They don't necessarily have to be a member of the County Agents Association. It's usually either a public official, lay leader, or professional individual who's made a significant contribution to agriculture. And they also will generally come to the national meeting to accept the award, and they'll have their expenses paid to do that. And so it's really a, you know, I guess one of the pinnacles of one of the awards that we nominate people for through the County Association, this World Agricultural Nomination. So those are the main awards that I wanted to kind of focus on. And like I said, all of this information is available on the website. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask your board members about these awards. But we definitely want to get people nominated each year. And I know we have a lot of deserving members, and unfortunately, we don't always nominate people. And I know that when we do, it's a great way that we can give people recognition for the great service that they've given to our organization.
Great, thank you, Stuart. Again, questions can go right into the chat box, and we'll deal with those. And I just want to reiterate what Stuart said. It's a great opportunity. If you think you're eligible for an award, just talk to your state officers. Or as a state officer, you should also be canvassing your members for who might be eligible for these awards. And go on the website, see what's available and who might fit into those slots in your states. So. Next on the agenda is a little quick tour of the NACAA database and the website update. For those of you who've been on the website, you know it is a fountain of information, but sometimes it can be a little challenging to get where you want to be in there. And that's one of our goals as a board in the upcoming year, is to really try to improve that. And Connie Strunk, who is presently our secretary, is going to give us a little update on that. Connie?
All right. Just want to say hello, good day from nice and chilly, cool, cold, snowy. Had an earthquake yesterday, South Dakota. So it's been a very interesting start for the new year. But anyhow, with the website, hopefully y'all can see and hear me here. We're going to just do a little screenshot through. With the website, you know, it starts with having a username and password. So if you've not received that, please get yourself a username and password. From there, to get the inner workings of the wealth of information, you're going to go to the members only portal, which will be on the current website on the top way to the right. Within that members only, the really important one for a lot of folks here is this update member information, because that is where you as an individual can go and update your own information, meaning your name, your address, maybe you had a position change, and you can take care of your own information there, or your president or secretary or who's ever responsible for kind of like that gatekeeping within your membership. So the update membership portal is a very important tool for states to input information in, because on the national side, we're only as good as the information that is inputted for you and for your association and for your members. And we'll kind of walk through some of the other things here within this membership database, if you will. So you click on that member, update member information, you would select a member. So if you really wanted to look for somebody, so in this case, let's say you didn't know my last name and you didn't know that I was holding an office on the board, but you knew I was from South Dakota, you could go ahead and underneath that state association, instead of saying any state, you could select South Dakota and you could put status of all, meaning if you're a past member or a current member, anybody that's within South Dakota would populate up in that, or you can limit it down to just active members to help you in your search. So there's different ways to look for people and different ways to, let's say, look for yourself. So that is a great tool, and I've utilized that quite a bit, especially when I was working with voting delegate information, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So example, this is just pulling my information. So I, wanting to update me. So I show that I'm South Dakota, you show your region, your name, you can change addresses, currently, since I'm working from home, switch the address, switch that address or phone number or whatever information that you would like on there. So you can update that yourself, and you'll be able to see when it was last updated. Way at the bottom of the screen, it'll say when it was updated, and usually it'll say who it was updated by. One of the other things that's within our realm of doing individually or within the associations that hasn't been done a whole lot and would really encourage you to do it is to select what your specialties are. It's more used on the national side of things to be able to look if we wanted to send out a webinar specific to certain topics or specialties, or if we have a donor that's really wanting to send or share some information with those that are focusing, let's say, only on crops. That way it just kind of, we're able to pull that information together. So really encourage taking a look at that specialty area to update that information also. Another one here is updating the voting delegates. Currently, we've got some voting delegates that were assigned and inputted by the state, which is wonderful, because if you input them, then it's one last chore that I need to do. But generally, when it's closer to like that 90 days out from the NACAA national meeting, send a message and say, we need to know who your voting delegate is. So when you provide that date, that name to me, I double check in the system to see if they're already inputted. If they're not, then I add that individual. So again, this is one way that you can check to see who is for your state, or if you need to make an update, you're able to update that also within that portal for that voting delegate. So we try to keep that information updated as much as possible, because those that are running for office or sending different paraphernalia out towards the meeting dedicated to the voting delegates, this is where they would pull that information from. And then the other big one within that membership database area that really are responsible for, my colleagues have talked about it today, is updating the state committees or the committee chairs. Well, we'll kind of go back to my original screen here, but when you would update that state committee chair, you pull your state, it's going to list out who all of the committees are, who the chairs are, the start date, the end date. You're able to update that. And again, we can't reiterate it enough that keeping this updated keeps you connected to us on the national side of things, because either you'll have nobody or it's going to default to the president. And if you don't want to be spammed with every single message coming off of the national site, I really encourage you to keep these committee chairs updated with that information. And so it's a pretty self-explanatory process when you go to update that information, but this is just a quick look at the way South Dakota plays out in the system. So again, some of the things that you would need to do to really make that membership database work for not only your state, region, but also on the national level for us is you need to update those membership leader positions. So again, that means when you have change of officers, we need to know who the president is, who the vice president, the secretary, because we send out different information. And if your state's not on there, you're not getting that information. There is no default when it comes to those leadership positions for officers. So please get those officers updated as soon as you have those position changes. You know, again, you have the opportunity to update that voting delegate information. Big one is your members' contact information. Again, that can be done as the president, it can be done as your secretary, or if you have someone assigned to make those changes, or even each member themselves. You just need to let your state know how you're going to handle if there's a change of address or a name change as to how you want your members to get that updated. And then the other big one, again, just to really keep that communication flowing, is to update those state committee chairs. And so that's just a quick little walkthrough of our current membership database. I mean, there's a whole lot of other little tips and tricks that we could look into, such as creating mailing lists and whatnot, but that's time for another day, if you will. Let's take a very quick sneak peek here at what the new NACAA website is shaping up to be. Again, this is not live, so it's not released. I'm not able to click on anything, but we're kind of trying to give more of that modern update look here. It's really going to be more of a mobile friendly site. You know, I don't know about you, but our current or old website, as you will, is not very web or mobile friendly. Most of the time I'll go in and I'll say I want to just see the full website and kind of navigate it that way. This one is really set up to be that mobile friendly interface. And so that's wonderful for those with the changing technologies here, trying to get us more up to speed on that. Anyhow, so we got the tabs across. You would scroll down, or you would scroll up, if you will, which would bring you to the bottom of the website screen. And then you'll also see, we'll have a video, and I'm not going to play that just for connection issues here, but there's be a little video with some updated agriculture and kind of trying to service everybody what we do within NACAA. And then the biggest thing that I know you don't see it on a member level is the coding. Again, we heard the words, it was very archaic, it was starting to break, it was, you know, it was old, outdated, and we're starting to have some issues. It's really going to help the seamless flow on the back end of things. When we go to upload things, we're not going to have the issues like we have been starting to have the last number of years. So really looking forward to that new coding language. So that's just a little sneak peek at the website. If everything goes as planned, so far we're on track to have a July 2021 release of the new website. I mean, that's our goal, trying to kind of push forward to that. So anyhow, hoping that you all will find it very usable and a little bit more easily accessible for the information that you're looking for. So again, just thank you for what you do with NACAA, and I'm going to turn it back over.
Great. Thank you, Connie. We're really looking forward to the new website. This is one of the things that as the board really, when we talk to the membership about things they'd like to see the board do, the updating the website always bubbled to the top. So this is, we're really looking forward to the launch of this coming up this summer, and hopefully it will be a lot friendlier site and be a lot more inviting for the membership to go through and look the stuff up that we've been talking so much about today. As we're coming toward the end of our agenda here, we wanted to have a chance for you to become familiar with the National Outstanding Young Farmer Program, which NACAA has been very much involved with over the years. And a lot of our members have actively participated in this and nominated farmers and been fortunate enough to go along with the program. So Tammy Cheely is with us, who is our Outstanding Young Farmer Liaison from NACAA, and she's going to give us an update. Tammy?
All right, thank you. I'm going to make this pretty quick, and I'll go ahead and tell you up front, any questions you have, go to our NACAA website and find my contact information. You can also look up the National Outstanding Young Farmer Fraternity and look at their website to see the application. In the pre-COVID world, their timeline was applications were due mid-July, 1st of August, and they would go through and they would do an intense check of all this. They would pick 10 national finalists, and they would go to the Congress, the Awards Congress in 1st of February, and go through interviews and all types of things there, and then they would actually pick the 4 winners. So post-COVID, this year, we, myself and them together, we moved the deadline to go past our meeting so we could get more people to apply. Of course, now they have canceled their winter Congress, which would have been in Wisconsin, 1st of February. They have named winners. We still did get plenty of applications, and they've decided that they're gonna do the award winners for this year and next year all together. So that meeting will be in Hilton Head, the 2nd through the 6th of 2022. Now, if you've been lucky enough to attend their Congress, you know what I mean when I say it's absolutely spectacular. Every I dotted, every T crossed, everybody there. I mean, it's like a thing of royalty. It's the volunteer-led fraternity. But once they get in that top 10, they come back year after year after year. So there are folks who have been coming to this thing for 50 years. I encourage you to go ahead and be scouting through or thinking about the farmers you have that come to mind so you could be working on the application. I'd be glad to help you out with that. The deadline should go back to normal. So you'll be getting e-blast from me through Scott Hobaker reminding you about this. So it'll be mid-July, 1st of August when it's time to apply again. There's, you know, not a whole lot of stipulations. Basically, the farmer can't turn 41 in January before that February meeting. I encourage you, besides just thinking about your traditional ag producers, to also think about the non-traditional ones. Like last year, one of the ones in the top 4 was actually a clam farmer. So it's not just traditional row crop and beef cattle, it's everything. And it's a great experience for them. They totally get honored. NACAA provides a $500 stipend to county extension agents to attend this Congress if the farmer they nominated makes that top 10. And it's a great experience for them as well. They have tours and everything just like we do. We are a major part of their applications. And so as liaison, I help increase applications, help you with applications, talk to you about people you have in mind. And then I help with the travel process of if you have a finalist, getting you there and going through the week with all that. Tried to really just hit on the high points and stress to you just to contact me. Look up my information with the website or look at their information before you contact me. This is one of the greatest things in my 26 years of working that I've been involved with. This group of people is just truly amazing. It's a great experience. And I cannot be more positive about it. With that, I'm not going to belabor it because I know you've seen my articles and you get e-blasts and I try to send stuff to the newsletter, but just contact me and I'll be glad to help. And I surely want to encourage you to be thinking about some farmers that you could nominate. So other than that, questions at the end, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Tammy. So as officers, it just would be something to talk to your state membership about, the farmers they work with, and you know, any potential nominees that were there. It is a great experience, not only for the farmer, but for the agents who work with them and nominate them. So something else to consider. And then our last thing on the agenda before we get to our question and answers is a little update on life members and how you should be working with them in your state associations. And for that, Jerry Clark's gonna speak again.
Sure. Thank you, David. Yeah, with life members, the committee, I see there's a couple chairs that are state life member chairs are on today. But also for the state presidents, it's again, go back to what Phil said early on, the committee structure is what drives this, and then kind of tie in with Connie, making sure that that website is up to date with who that state chair for the life member is. And I think a couple things there is to, as members retire, if as an active, going from an active member to a life member, those may be the state chairs you kind of target for your association. They've been involved as an active member up to retirement, and it's a great way to keep them involved. They may be in contact with those that have retired prior. I know that's a hard thing to keep up with, but trying to just track the life members within your association is number one. What they've as far as addresses, contact information. There's also an opportunity for them to, as a life member, for $50, whether the association pays that or the life member themselves pay that, but that gets them vested in the association through their retirement. They can pay a certain amount, and it's in the policies. I did not write it down, but in the policy, as far as if they want the magazine or not, they can. I think it's for a lifetime membership. To get the magazine mailed to them, it's $100, and there's different tiers to that on how often that magazine is mailed to them. So that's one thing to keep tabs on, is just to have someone connected as that life member chair. And so part of those responsibilities, I think, is to make sure you invite retirees or life members to your association meetings. Many associations that I've attended have had picnics in the summer, or something is going on with a social hour, whatever that is. It's a great time to reconnect with the life members, or at least invite them to the current membership meetings when they're happening. The other thing is to support the scholarship fund, encouraging life members to continue to support the scholarship fund, as well as the national donors. Many of the life members have had a long history in their county or their state. They know people, and it's an opportunity for them to recruit a national sponsor for NACAA with all the connections they've made throughout that career. So again, I think the main thing with the life member chair then is to just remain connected with the state president. So I know that's going to change, but as long as that database is updated, and we kind of keep going back to that often, that as long as that database is up to date with who that state chair is, much more the communication is much more easier that way. So just a brief update on the life members, but just encourage the life member chairs or the state presidents to make sure that that's updated in the database and that the connection is made.
Great. Thank you, Jerry. And just to wrap up, we are hoping to answer any questions you have as state officers about anything we talked about today, or even outside the agenda if you have questions about it. I'm going to throw this out to all the directors as we go through here. Let's see here. If a member has a name change, who's responsible for making this change, them or the president or secretary? Kind of chucked that at Connie, but as I understand it, you can make that change yourself in the database. If you're going to do that, I would probably talk to the executive secretary and let them know that you've done that and there has been a name change. But Connie, if you have anything else to add to that.
It can be the member themselves making that change, or it could be their state president or secretary, or who is ever taking care of updating the website for the national from the state. So sometimes states have a person that is in charge of it. At least, once a year it does get updated when it comes to dues time by your within your state. It gets updated then, but we would like to see keep those name changes going throughout the year. I know back over the summer with the voting delegates, I did a lot of name changes or updates, if you will, into who our voting delegates were, but also like change some members' names. They're like, oh, I got married, or this happened or that happened. So I made those updates for them. So it could be the member themselves or their state leadership.
Great. Let's see here. When policies are changed or updated, how is that being, or how should that be communicated to the membership? There are a couple of ways this can happen. And again, I'll invite others to weigh in on it, but we will, usually when policies are changed, this has to happen with the approval of the delegate session at the annual meeting or the board. And if the board makes those changes, then the delegate session will be updated at the annual meeting as to what those changes were. So your state delegate should be bringing that information back. Also in the newsletter and on the website, these changes will be updated as well. So it's a matter of you as a member have some responsibility to go to the website, keep an eye on those things, and also to talk to your delegates at the delegate session to see what changes have been made. And those will be on the agenda of the delegate session. Any other directors want to pitch in on that?
No, I think that covers it, David. I think that is something we could enhance or improve that communication through the newsletter if there are changes during the middle of the season, or during the middle of the season, or the that year, that we could provide some what changes are being considered.
And just so you know, there is a policy chair, and they review parts of the policy manual every year, and they go over it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that when we make changes, what impacts they may have on other policies that are within the handbook. It is quite a process, and it does require a lot of review and thought before policies are changed. So it's not something that's taken lightly by the board. Changes to policy are reviewed very carefully, and the policy manual itself is reviewed on an annual basis just to make sure that it really is up to date as best we can do, and we are addressing the changes that occur over time. As you can imagine, there were some changes that had to be made just because of what we did with making the AMPIC go virtual. That wasn't addressed in a policy manual, and we had to do some fast work to make sure that we could in fact hold a delegate meeting virtually, and so forth and so on. So it is something we do review. Let's see, what is the deadline to apply for a committee chair? Well, I think we discussed that. As I understand, it's February 15th. And so, if you're thinking about it, or as a state officer, you have some members who you think would be good participants on a committee, get in touch with them and make sure they have time for that February 15th deadline. That's all I'm seeing, Jerry, for questions.
Yeah, that's all I've got too. So I think we can wrap it up.
Well, great. We will, if you have other questions, please feel free to address your regional director, and we'd be happy to point you in the right direction if we can't answer it ourselves. And again, take time to review the webpage. If you haven't been along in there, there's just gobs of information in there. It will consume your day pretty quickly if you're interested in that sort of thing. So, and we really appreciate your attendance. We hope to see you all at an AMPEC coming up soon, one way or another, either this way or hopefully in person if we can get through this pandemic. So again, thank you very much for your attendance, and we really appreciate your efforts as state officers.
David, you had a comment on this training was really helpful. I'd recommend the directors do this every year as well. I mean, we've always done it at the AMPIC, but I think it'd be good to maybe do it at the AMPIC if we're face to face, and again as a virtual session for those that couldn't attend AMPIC.
I agree. I think it was a very helpful session.
I think you need to put it on your schedules to do them both.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah.
Great job, guys.
It's just hard to provide lunch this way, Bill.